Welcome to Get Balanced 2020. I'm Patty Hall, and you are here today to learn about how to change your bad habits into good habits and what toxicity is. I'm sure we all have heard all of those terms before, but because I am a life coach, life balance coach, health coach, and a spiritual coach, I have been asked a lot about setting standards and boundaries and how to change a bad habit to a good habit. So these are sort of going to meld together, but let's talk about bad habits and changing those to good habits. So we also look at this in nutrition and fitness. So in mind, spirit, and body, you can place it in all areas, but a lot of the times when I talk about it, it's in nutrition and fitness. So we're going to talk about bad habits in nutrition and fitness as well as we go along. So it's all going to meld together. So what is a bad habit? So that depends on you. A bad habit usually is something that's destructive or non-productive, or it goes against everything that our body or spirit or our mind is supposed to actually have to make it successful in whatever purpose it is for our journey and our life. That's very confusing, isn't it? Well, it is a little bit, because it all is a personal thing as far as what's bad and what's good. But the way that I base a lot of my good and bad habits are based from my spirit. So I was taught through circumstances, through experiences and everything, that some of my dysfunction is actually okay, but it was all a bad habit. That's okay, because I'm living in a norm of dysfunction. So when you learn to live in dysfunction, bad habits are okay, but they're really, really not, because they hinder or stop our growth into a productive, positive lifestyle that actually is meant to grow us to the biggest potential that we have for our lives, whatever the success is in our lives or our dreams or our goals, whatever it is. If we have a dysfunctional thinking of bad habits, then we stay in that pattern, and it ends up being a cycle and a pattern over and over again that we actually just don't get out of or don't break. So then we wonder, how come I can't get my dreams or my goals and things like that? Could be even just weight loss. Maybe you want to lose weight. A lot of that is very complicated, only because everybody is so different. And so I'll talk about that a little bit later, because in all reality, to lose weight, it's in your mindset and your heart first. So there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people, and I'll tell you, with my book back here, which way I'm pointing. Anyway, it's actually one book that I wrote that no other book actually has in the very beginning, that touches on the psychological aspects of why we gain weight, why we are at the yo-yo method and the cycles and the patterns because a lot of it comes from spirit and mental first, and that comes from bad experience, dysfunctional living, and that creates the choices and the decisions that we make that leave us in this pattern of going back to old patterns, old bad habits, which actually need to be transformed and changed in our mindset, which starts from our spirit first. Do you believe that? Yes, it does. Anyway, so that's where that is. So with bad habits, it all is dependent on you. So if you, for example, somebody's going to tell me, we'll use diet a lot as examples, because I went from 215 pounds to 136 pounds on a bodybuilding stage in a year, and it was based on learning types of things. But was all of that good for me? No, because I was actually in the process of dieting down, but I wasn't getting to the thought process and the spirit process of me. So what happens? Even though I'm working out after that competition, the weight starts coming back because I didn't take care of this first. So what happens is, when we have a bad habit, a lot of the time we are self-medicating or trying to figure a way to stay comfortable, that we don't rock the boat, that we can actually just go with the flow and be with that, rather than actually setting our boundaries and our standards, as we talk in that video about setting those and making sure that we stay and adhere within those measures that are best for us. So, for example, bad habit for me, I'm a carbohydrate junkie. I want to eat carbohydrates, but I know that complex carbohydrates will cause me to gain weight. Just as sugar. Sugar is not good for you at all, for any human being. And what do? Actually, sugar is addicting. So I eat sugar, which is complex carbohydrates, turns to sugar, and then actually gains weight. So why would I do that? It's a comfort food. It's an emotional eating. Or maybe I'm stuffing to medicate because I don't want to think about something. So these are some of the things that we do to ourselves so that we don't have to go deep into the reason why we're doing something. We don't want to get to that pain. We don't want to get to that hurt. We don't want to get to what is actually festering down there at the roots to make us do that. So what do? I eat complex carbohydrates and I gain weight. Then what happens? The only reason why my body is gaining weight is because it's listening to my mind. My mind tells my body how to act or react, or not act or not react. So we begin to do this pattern over and over and over again until it becomes our norm. So when we want to break a bad habit, we do have to have our standards and our boundaries in place actually first, because, for example, again, we're going to use food. If I tell somebody I'm on a diet, I'm not going to eat sugars, I'm out of sugars, or maybe I'm fasting for just a couple of days, but I want to go out with my friends, and you go out and we go out to a restaurant, I have the discipline not to eat. If that's my discipline, that I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to eat. If I'm not going to eat sugar, I'm not going to eat sugar. But the problem is we have other people not believing, or maybe supporting, or maybe they just want to sabotage. So they try to get you to break that bad habit, or they get you to try to break that good habit that you're trying to build. So you have to be really mindful while you're changing an old bad habit into a new habit, who you're going to share this information with. And also you need to have a support person, whether it's accountability, responsibility to you to just say, hey, check in with me, see how I'm doing. And it has to be a walking in the truth moment for you. So this is very deep driven to break this bad habit and not do it anymore. It's sort of like people, when I worked in chemical dependency, that, for example, alcohol is probably one of the worst drugs to come off of, but also too, a lot of people think they're addicted to pot. Pot is actually a psychological thing. There's no physical addiction to it. So that actually could be a bad habit broken right away. It just becomes such a dysfunctional habit that you want to do that, or toke it, or whatever you want to do, that it's a psychological thing that you don't want to break it. So some chemical dependencies, as far as that's a physical thing that they have to go through detox, that they have to change their bodies. That takes not only mental, but very much physical changing of that bad habit to a good habit. But we're not going to go into that, because that is something that professionals need to get involved with that. But this is more of your eating, your everyday. Say you want to stop cussing. That is an everyday thing that you've gotten used to doing, that you can actually undo with just time, consistency, and practice. So when, for example, you want to stop cussing, maybe you want to stop going out so much, maybe you don't want to hang around certain people that create a bad dysfunctional life for you, maybe it's something of that, or maybe it's just food in general. I want to stop smoking. And then let me tell you, nicotine is a really hard addiction. It is hard. But you have to have the mindset of, I'm just going to stop. There is going to be cravings, but I am going to work through these cravings. Now, my mother, who had breast cancer, not only from probably smoking for, I don't know, maybe 40 years, 50 years. But the other thing is she had breast cancer because she took Premarin, and Premarin caused her breast cancer more likely. But the thing is, she had to have 3. I got called out of college one day and had to go to the emergency room because they had just done an angiogram on her, and they had 3 blocked arteries. And so she was working on 28% of her heart. So they said she has to stop smoking. Otherwise, we cannot do this. And this woman was strong enough in her mind to say, I'm done. And this woman smoked 6 cartons a month. She tried to hide that from me once when I was working at Costco. And whether they burned in the ashtray or wherever, it doesn't matter. She went through 6 cartons a month. So the thing for her was actually to say, having my heart only work 28% and I want to live longer was the strong enough motive to get her to go cold turkey. Yes, she went cold turkey, literally. And so what happened during that time, her heart got stronger. They did the 3 stents and she did a wonderful job. And that has to take it. So your motivation, what is your motivation to change this bad habit into a good habit? That is the number one key. If you're doing it for somebody else, it's not going to stick. You have to want to do this for yourself. You want to be able to do this for your journey, your health, your mindset, and your spirit. So in order to change a bad habit, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, it's such hard work. It's going to take forever. No, it doesn't. But what it does take, it takes a commitment to yourself. It takes accountability to yourself and being responsible to yourself in that you are going to do this. This is what I am going to do, and I am not going to wave from it. I have a standard and a boundary that I am trying to grow, and this is what I'm going to do. That's number one. What is your motivation, and how do I get that motivation? And where is that motivation coming from? Has to come from here, deep inside. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired of this old bad habit. That's how it has to get, okay? So then the number 2 is, okay, I've got this bad habit. How do I get rid of it? The only way that you can get rid of an old bad habit is to replace it with something good. You cannot just get rid of the old bad habit. People say, well, I'll just get rid of it. Well, you can get rid of it, but it'll see you a little bit later in the month or the next year or even a month or 2 down the road. Because you know what? Because you haven't got to the motivation. You haven't gotten serious about it. You're making an excuse. I'll just get rid of it. Because the thing is to replace that bad habit, old habit, with something new, something healthy, something that is productive, something that is going to keep you motivated and keeping you going. Okay? That is the simplest and the key basis of changing any bad habit or habit, period. So if you want to replace a good habit with a different good habit, you can do that. You take that habit and upgrade it to the next best thing. So I'm not going to go there quite yet because I have different levels of this. So, but that's the simplest way. So if I'm going to stop eating complex carbohydrates, there's a certain satiety, there's a certain flavor with complex carbohydrates that I enjoy. It's the sugar, because complex carbohydrates turn to sugar. So if I'm going to get rid of complex carbohydrates, I got to get rid of sugar on top of it, which I've done before. And it is a little bit hard at first because your body craves that. But I'll tell you one thing about sugar. So many diseases crave and eat off of sugar, cancer being one. So the more sugar you eat, the more you grow that cancer. And the more that you grow that cancer, the harder it is to get rid of it, because you're counterintuitive to, yes, you're going to go through chemo or radiation or whatever, but the cancer still feeds. It's like, gimme, 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 so that I can keep growing. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Gimme, 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 gimme. So those cravings even get stronger. Certain diseases, same with diabetes and things like that, you have to learn to cut sugar completely out of your diet. There's certain sugars you can have, but those even have to be regulated, like fruits and things like that. So if I'm going to cut out complex carbohydrates, what am I going to replace that with? Because I need something to give me that same satisfaction, that same type of whatever it is. So again, and am I eating that for comfort? Am I eating that for emotional eating? Am I eating that because I'm dysfunctional? I didn't do my homework and that's how I medicate myself. So those are things that I need to eat and figure out during that bad habit. Excuse me, my bad habit. But I'm going to replace that with something else. I like almonds. Almonds sort of have a hard, crunchy flavor to it, but it also reminds me it's brown. It's sort of got some white in there, sort of like bread. So you find what it is works for you. Almonds replaced my complex carbohydrates. And it's a very healthy thing to eat. Nuts are good for protein and also fats and things like that as well. So you have to find out what works for you. Now, if it's about food and nutrition, then you probably want to get a nutritionist or a dietitian involved. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer there. If you have any health concerns, any kind of health concerns, you need to see a dietitian, because the dietitian is registered. They study diseases. They study that. A nutritionist that doesn't have a certification, doesn't have a degree, may not have any of that education. Or maybe you'll see a naturopath. Sometimes naturopaths can give you supplements and they can figure out things that you're deficient in. And maybe it's just you have a deficiency in something that's creating this craving of sugar. Possibly. But anyway, get away from food. When we want to get rid of a bad habit, like cussing, we have to replace it with something else. So knowing that it works for everything. If you want to change your lifestyle, maybe you're a little bit promiscuous and you want to change your lifestyle from getting away from that. We have to replace it with, okay, what can I do healthy for myself to get away from this dysfunctional thinking that this is an okay way of life? Maybe it is for you. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying if this is something you want to get away from, something that you want to change, which happens to be more of a bad habit, because you can have disease, you can actually come into harm depending on who you're with, especially if you're dating and you're online dating. You don't know who you're meeting. You could end up in a detrimental situation, or you could be kidnapped, or you could be sex trafficked. These kind of things is what I'm talking about. That's a bad place to put yourself, especially if you're a woman. But if you want to change that, you have to replace that. Maybe there's a hobby or a sport or exercise or something that you want to learn how to do to get your mindset to change that. Next thing is, once you find whatever that is that you're going to replace that bad habit with, you're actually going to have to be consistent. Yes, consistent. You're going to have to do this over and over and over again, just like you did the bad habit. And the more that you do it, the more consistent, the quicker the habit is going to change. So you want to take that complex carbohydrates, you want to stop that cussing, you want to stop that smoking, you want to stop doing this, you want to stop doing this with guys, you're going to have to do something new over and over and over and over. And it has to be on a daily or at least thought of daily basis to get that mindset to switch. Once that mindset gets to it, and then they say, oh, well, I heard that bad habits can change in 21 days or 28 days. Well, it doesn't necessarily. With my mother, bad habit. instantly. It's how bad you want it. How motivated are you to get this out of your life? It's dysfunction. So that's the same thing with low self-esteem, low self-worth, low confidence. That is a bad, or I'm not going to say bad, it's a dysfunctional way that somebody has either imposed on you, allowed you to actually incorporate in your mental thought process, whether it was brainwashing, you were a child, you got to see abuse, or you got to witness abuse, or anything like that, that actually needs to transform to a positive, successful way of thinking. Newer way of healthy thinking, forward thinking, promotive thinking, and everything like that. So, and I don't want to make this video too long because it's so simple. As far as there's only 3 things: motivation, replace the bad habit with a new, good, healthy habit, and consistency. Those are the 3 things that are changing a bad habit. And those things have to come within. What can you? If you need help, ask a mentor, ask a coach, email me, ask me any questions. My channel is free. For most things, it is free, unless you want a one-on-one for an hour or 2. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more, but everything is free. So this is why I do these videos, so that maybe these can help you grow, and I'm on your side. I'm your coach. Even if you aren't my coach physically in person, I'm your coach, because I know you can do this, because I've done it. And that's why I'm doing these. The divine has asked me to go and teach. This is what I'm doing. I'm going and teaching things that took me many, many years, many tears, many, many times of sweat, blood, money, education, firsthand experience, wisdom, knowledge that the divine gives me. And so this is where I want to help you. Let's get these bad habits formed into good habits. Now, whether you have to watch this over and over and over again, this is okay. Or I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post up on here, watch the standards and boundaries, set standards and set healthy boundaries. That is really important as well. These meld together in our spirit and our mind. These are 2 things that I would say as a coach that you probably would want to focus in on the forefront, on the foremost front. Number 1 would be getting to the roots of where all this crud started, and actually bring those up and get those out of the way and put them in the cemetery. Go visit them every now and then, but don't live there. But that would be the number 1, getting to the roots. This is actually number 2, changing those bad habits to positive habits, setting your standards and your boundaries. So if you've gotten this far on this video, please, please, please like, share, subscribe. I keep doing the wrong ones. I'm going to post it here to go see the standards in the videos. Please like, share, subscribe. If you subscribe, please make sure that you hit the bell, because I'm going to be doing a lot more videos. I'm going to be doing more live videos, and then you'll get notifications when I upload videos like this one. So that would be really great too. And I'm a newer channel. I could really use the subscribers. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this helped. I hope you took notes. If you didn't take notes and it was way too fast, really sorry about that. Go back and watch. Sit down with your pen, and even if you have to fast forward or whatever, and jot down those notes. The 3 main important parts. Go back and do that. And we will talk to you in the next video. Or actually go onto my website, which is shown down below, and it has a YouTube link at the top, and you can hit on those YouTube links and watch mind, spirit, body, all kinds of videos in nutrition and fitness, transforming your mind, and actually spirit, how to grow your spirit, understand your spirit, how to really get in tune, in touch with your spirit, because your intuition is your guidance, is what it is. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed these, and we'll talk soon. Take care now.